Hello there. I hope you're feeling chatty tonight because we are going to take a long stroll down memory lane and then we might get into some dark alleyways. But I tell you what, we're going to take a stroll down memory lane and look at the good times of the internet. We're going to talk about them and I'm going to need you to participate. And then, just like every relationship, it's a bad relationship, or in my case, it's all my relationships. I don't know. What is your experience? But we're going to talk about the internet and how it has evolved. And I want you to share your good stories, your bad stories. Like, look, back in the early days of the internet, it was great. Wasn't it? It was like this cool, wonderful thing. I remember loving the internet, and it was magical for me. I was a young mother, and at the time, their dad worked night shift, and I didn't have any adult conversation. And, at night when I could put the kids to bed, I could at least talk to adults. And so, it was a magical thing, and I loved it. And then, it got weird, just like Sachi's tail. So, we're gonna talk about it. Yes, it was a free for all. Let me say hi to everybody. Hi, Samantha. Good to see you, Roberta. Yeah, it is kind of hard to look at the fire in 90-degree heat. I've thought about changing my background. It's kind of like it's old. I've had it for like, well, I don't know, since 2022. Is that when I started this channel? It was a long time ago. Christina. Christina Rain. Hey, good to see you. Yeah, everything's good with me. I'm glad it's Friday. Friday. Everything is good with everybody. But yeah, so who remembers? Let me put this up here because, hey, Calamity Jane. Good to see ya. Who remembers the early days of the internet? Let me put this up here because this is something I had to ask. I'm like, I had to go and Google this. What does this mean? Let me put down in the comments the year. What was the first year that you got a computer? I can't get that off there. Why can't I get this off there? Y'all can't see it, but I can. Okay. What is the first year that you got a PC and got connected to the internet? Because mine was, I'm trying to think if it was 96 or 97. I think it was 97. It might have been 96. I'm trying to think if I had the internet before my second son was born. I'm not sure. I either got it right before he was born or right after. I know I had it in the beginning of 97. I'm just not sure. And it was wild. It was the Wild West. Ninja Warrior Assassin, how are you doing? So it was crazy times. It was crazy times out there, y'all. Let me make sure. 1993 for the computer and 98 for the internet. Okay. Hey, Buckeye. Good to see ya. You're doing okay? Good. 95 for Christina. Back in, I remember getting a computer in, like I said, one of those years, and I didn't know what a chat room was. I got on Yahoo. Y'all remember Netscape? Or was it Netscape? Navigator? Navigator. I didn't like whatever. Remember when it would all get the things in the mail, the discs, and it was AOL and all that kind of stuff? Remember? You got all that? You always got one in the mail. It's like every day. You got one. They wanted you to start with it. But I used Netscape, I think, because I just thought it was cool. I loved the graphics on it. It was much cooler. Um, I didn't use AOL a whole lot. I did use it some. Players Gambit, hello, how are you? Let me see if I can click this. My mouse isn't working. Uh, you've been busy? Hey, I understand. I've been working on my other channel. By the way, if you follow Spooky Southern, I am trying to get my Facebook channel. I lost Avalon Cottage, that whole page. I haven't had access in forever, so I just started Spooky Southern, trying to work that one back up. It's easier for me to keep up with people on Facebook pages rather than this. So anyway, if you need to message me, it's probably easier to get a hold of me on Facebook on Spooky Southern. Samantha says, started college for computer sciences in the mid 80s. Think talks and floppy disk. Oh, yeah. Y'all remember the floppy disks? I remember the floppies. They really were floppy. Christina said, we had AOL. I had AOL for a short period of time. I just didn't like it. It was too bright. I think because my kids were small and it was just, I used it at night and the screen AOL was too bright for whatever reason. I like Navigator. Let's see. Yeah, there were big floppies and there were little floppies. I remember the big floppies too. Buckeye. And my big flop. I can't even say that without smiling. The one I used that on my word processor, and they were so easy to damage. And I liked the smaller ones. They were much easier. But now people say, what was that floppy? Like, it really was. Yes, you're right, Buckeye. There was too many weirdos on AOL. A lot. Yes. Sign on. Oh my gosh, Roberta, I can't believe you remember that. Sign on was prompt C. Yes. Yes. Okay, okay, Ninja. You have one, but I thought you were doing better. Like, how is your? I don't like to ask unless you tell me, Ninja, because like it's a public thing, so I don't bring it up unless you do. But you're doing good, right? Just let me know. And I don't want to say more than you want to say, okay? You're right, Players Gambit. I know. That's why, and I'm like a 15-year-old sometimes and thinking it's because I work around men. All right, I work around men all the time, and this is what I hear. So that's why I was trying to stop myself with the whole floppies thing. I'm like, Silky, tone it down, tone it down. I was just watching something the other day. It's like an old stream that I did a couple of years ago. And I was like, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I said that on a live. I'm like, I need to do a whole section, a whole playlist of outtakes. I'm like, oh my God. Do I really want to know what I've said on live stream? Probably not. Okay, but anyway. Okay. Hey, Ninja, but you're here. You're here. That's absolutely wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. Okay, so let me throw this first screen up because I had to ask this. We're going to talk about the early days, the honeymoon phase, right? Let me see if I can. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. There we go. I don't know how that got so small. Okay, the honeymoon phase. Remember, I had to Google this because I'm like, I remember ASL. People would say, and I'm like, but what did it stand for? Do y'all remember? Put it in the comments. Do you remember what when people would say A/S/L? I'm like, oh my God, what was that? What was that? And I'm trying to think of all the things we use now, and I'm like, I don't know. Uh, does anybody remember? After I looked it up, I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Um, I'll give you a minute for that one. Y'all remember, I forgot that when somebody was on the internet, you couldn't use the phone. I remember it was dial up, but unless you had two lines, you couldn't use the phone. Nobody could call you. People weren't using cell phones, right? Sometimes. That was like you were bougie. You had both. Usually you just, sometimes you had a dedicated line, but most of the time, some of the fam would be in there watching, TV, and somebody was in there using the phone line for the internet. And if you were expecting an important call, or if you were waiting to see something, grandma was, sick and you were waiting to see, what was going on, or you were like, whatever, somebody was supposed to call when you were supposed to come pick them up, like, you know, your relative was out somewhere and you had to pick them up after the game. You get off the internet, Susie's going to call. So can't get through if you're on the internet. Remember those days? I forgot. Like it wasn't that long ago, but yet it was, wasn't it? Um, let's see. Yeah, hi Watha. We've got some weirdos in chat. Yes, Christina, you got it. Age, sex, and location. I had to look it up. I'm like, yeah, what was that? And we asked that because you didn't know what you'd get in a chat room. There really wasn't a whole lot of places to be, right? We didn't have live streams. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have, like, you got on the internet and the pages were very simple. You had forums, but it wasn't the only live interaction that you had back in those days. If there's anybody watching this or on the replay, if you come across this one day, boys and girls, back in the olden days, the only live interaction that you had was in a chat room. And so you didn't know by people's handles, you didn't know if they're male, female, how old they were, where they were from. And so you do ASL. And in my time period that I was on back in the day when I'd put my kids to sleep, and, I had a very limited time because I had to go to sleep. I had to be up in the morning with them. But I had like about maybe a 2-hour window where I could talk to a human and have an adult conversation. Just, news, weather, chit chat, because of being opposite schedule with my husband at the time and having 2 toddlers. It's like I get no interaction with humans. So it was so cool for me. And I ended up talking to people, and I remember I had a friend in Wales. I had a couple of friends in the States, but they were in literally different states. But most of the people that I met online were like over in the UK, and the time difference for them and me, it was just weird. So it was insane, but fun. And so I got to ask, hey, what's it like? We got to share information. And I felt like I kind of knew them, right? Until your computer breaks down, and then there goes you don't even know who these people are. It's insane. So let's see. Yeah, so it was age, sex, location, because then you got an idea. The noise. Oh my gosh. Yes, it would knock you offline. You're right. If somebody you get knocked offline all the time, like easily. The dial up. Oh, yeah. Do y'all remember that noise? I can't make the noise, but oh my God. It's like the sound of the dial up. It would give you nightmares. Um, the static web pages. Yes. Yes. Oh my God. You hang up. No, no. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Those days. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, Roberta. The internet speed would slow down after 5. Do y'all remember when it would take like 45 minutes to download one song? Once we're not even talking about video, we're just talking about audio. You want to download your favorite song, it would take 45 minutes, and you'd be like, "So I can't use the phone." And it was illegal. Like it was on Napster. Y'all remember Napster? Remember Napster? That was my favorite one to get illegal music back in the day. I didn't even know it was illegal, so I was like, "Oh, here's a website. You can get music." I didn't know you weren't supposed to. It's just like go nap you some music from Napster. I napped a lot of music. Who knew? But it took so long. It'd be like, God. And if somebody called you at 39 and a half minutes into your 45 minute, you're gone. Gone. So I'd set it like overnight, I'd be like, okay, let's try to download a few songs and hope to God nobody called you. Samantha says, I didn't even get a cell phone until let me back that up, until the 90s, and you had to pay by the characters or by the minute. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. That was horrible. The AOL sounds are on YouTube. Oh, wow. I know somebody's got dial-up sounds, too, because so I've heard somebody play it, and I was like, oh, it's like PTSD. It really is. I heard that sound and I was like, oh God, no, make it stop, make it stop. Hey, Winter Woman. Uh, Good to see ya. Yeah, Christina, LimeWire. I got a few songs from LimeWire, but they just didn't have what I was looking for. Strangely enough, I couldn't get a whole lot from there. So I was napping. I was napping away. And then that was that whole, that whole lawsuit. And I was like, oh, oh, apparently I have been a naughty, naughty person. I didn't. They're like, if you have downloaded anything from Napster, you need to get rid of it. You need to destroy it. And I'm like, no, no, I've already burned it. I probably still have those CDs. Honest to God, probably somewhere, I've probably still got stuff from Napster burnt somewhere. Let's see. Calamity Jane says, I used to be so afraid of the feds coming. Yeah, I know, right? It's like, you'll never get my CDs. Oh, my goodness. Player's Gambit. Let's see. Back in the days, you purchased a cassette, vinyl, or CDs. Nowadays, nothing is owned. True, true. Unless you kept the original formats. Yeah, that's what really makes me mad. Which I still have a lot of DVDs. But yeah, that's the thing. That's what makes me mad because I have bought DVD. I have bought movies on one platform or another, and then if you stop, you buy them and they're in your library. But if you stop with that platform, they're gone. If you decide, and so I'm like, that they're not mine. I didn't get to take them with me. They're not mine. I just was like renting them. It was terrible. We'd all be in the same jail cell. Yeah. Look at us, renegades with our Napster and LimeWire. But yeah, truly, truly, that's what it. Okay, so yeah, that were y'all in chat rooms too? But those were the fun days, even when I found out that Napster, when the whole thing was going to court, before they froze it, I'm there with my dial up making that sound, and I'm like trying to download as many. And I'm like, y'all stay off the phone. Nobody can use the phone. Napster's going down at midnight. I'm still downloading everything I possibly can. It's like, they're not going to catch me, you know. Uh, I don't know if I've got my DVDs, Wonder Woman. I think I may have some CDs somewhere. I know I came across them in the last year or two when I was cleaning stuff out. I just can't remember if I kept them. The ones that I burned. Because, you're like, am I ever going to play this again? Am I ever going to use this again? I don't know. The DVDs, I feel like you might, but you can't even, when you buy a computer now, it doesn't even have the CD-ROM or the DVD-ROM. It's crazy. But then I wonder, okay, because I'm going to ask you a question when we stop reminiscing in just a little bit. Okay, but let's go to this one. What do you remember first? Because I remember the chat rooms. I remember logging on. I had no idea. All they said is there's this thing called an internet. And I had one of those. It probably was AOL. I don't know. Maybe it was Netscape Navigator. I just remember using it. It was a free trial of something or other. And I didn't know that you had to have a browser. I just thought I don't know how I thought it worked. But, I remember so many things on the internet, even back then. Even back in 1996, 1997, I remember researching and being amazed at how many people took the time to make pages, and they were very simplistic, but about everything, even back then. You don't have, of course, the information you have out there now, but it didn't matter what kind of obscure subject or character. You would find some reference to it, and I'm like, my goodness, there's some kind of, maybe not all the info I want, but there's some kind of reference to this somewhere. Somebody is talking about something, and it was. I could tell even at that time, this is going to be a big something, because you have everybody in the whole world, and everybody is interested. Every person is interested. And I'm like, at that time, I'll tell you how weird it was that nobody was using it. I think I'm the only one of my peers that was on the internet, and other people were like, what? I've heard about that. I don't know what that is. What is the internet? What are the interwebs? The interwebs. I don't know what that is. And I remember a chicken, was it Tyson? It was somebody like that. They had this printable coupon for a free box. Now, we're not talking about a sample. We're not talking about 8 ounces. We're talking about a box. A box of chicken. And it was just like, I think it was like a test to see how many people were on the internet. So they're like, okay, print this coupon, which I did have a printer. I feel like probably a lot more people didn't have a printer. But I had a printer, and they're like, if you print this coupon off, we're running this today, and maybe, I think they were supposed to run it for a week. Print this coupon, take it to your local grocery store, and you will get a free box of Tyson chicken. I'm like, okay. So I printed it off, and my family was like, okay, I think this is a scam. I'm like, well, it cost me the cost of printing this page, Big Blue. So I take it to the grocery store, they look at it, and they're like, okay. They gave me a box of chicken. Now, by the next day, that coupon was gone. Supposed to be up a week. Gone. They had already, people had printed out so many of them. Now, I know it was like a marketing test, I'm sure, for Tyson. I'm sure they were overwhelmed by the amount of people that responded, and they had no idea because it was only like you could only print out one per ISP address. So it's not like you could just make multiple. It was, I don't know how they tracked that, but I think they had no idea how many people, even at that time, were on the internet, and they're like, oh, hold the phone. We can't give away this much chicken. So it was really cool, though, because I realized just in that amount of time, there are way more people on here than anybody realizes. So, that was the end of the big giveaways, but there were still a lot of giveaways at that time, for a while, that you could get some really good deals from internet stuff. Let's see. Roberta says there were a lot of internet businesses that made no money because they offered too much information for. Yes, that's true. Um, After the dial-up internet was so new to people that nobody even bothered to troll. True, true, true. Um, Dewey, where's Dewey? Hey, Dewey, how you doing? How you doing? Um, Gambit says, I use the old-fashioned format. Met a nice lady, asked her out for a drink. Still maintain that. Never tires. You know, I've met a lot of people on the internet. Most of them have turned out to be weird. Some of them have been okay. Not all of them have been weird, but most of them have been weird. There's always something. They look okay. They look normal for about 5 minutes, and then you're like, there it is. You just sit there long enough. You talk long enough. There it is. There it is. Um, but strangely enough, though, I did find this phenomenon. I knew a lot of people, especially back in the early days. Now, the longer the internet goes on, I feel like it doesn't happen so much. But especially back in the 90s and maybe up to the 2010s ish, around that, there was a good period of a good 15 plus years there that I knew people who in real life just were what you would call undateable for whatever reason. Maybe they were just not, they just weren't, they lacked social skills, okay? Sometimes they weren't that attractive, but they were really nice people. Some I'm thinking about this one person I knew, and he was very smart guy. He had no social skills, none. Now, I was friends with him for a long time. We hung out with the same people. I was always in a relationship, and I was like, yeah, he's a really smart guy, but he's never gonna find. He's one of those ones that like he's never gonna find anybody because nobody's ever gonna give him a chance. And he met somebody on the internet who, and I feel like a lot of people did back at this time because people were a little bit more genuine, and I feel like genuine people could meet people, and I don't know, people weren't as weird. I don't know, but a lot of folks that I knew that had trouble meeting people the regular way met people on the internet, and they got married, and they're still married to this day. To this day, they're still married and they're happy. So I mean, it was a good thing for folks who just could not interact any other way besides being more behind a screen, behind a microphone. I don't know, behind a keyboard. It was easier for them. Maybe they're just, I don't know, socially awkward. But now there's so many predators and so many people who are truly disturbed out there. It's like nobody wants to take a chance anymore. I don't know why that is. Are people just weirder or what? I don't know. Um oh wow. My brother met his wife in a Christian chat room, never seen her, so they walked down the aisle. Wow. Wow. Well, that's cool. You met your husband before the internet. I've never I have I'm going to think about this. I've never had a serious relationship with anybody I met on the internet. So, um it takes all let's see. It takes all kinds of people to make up a world, and most of them are on the internet. Yeah, well, now they are, for sure, for sure. I flew a lady from Florida to Illinois and met her in a poker room online. Um, we did okay. She went back to Florida, and it was fun. It was a fun time. Okay, okay. You met your hubby off the internet. What do you mean, Christina? Do you like you met him off of the? You did not meet him on the internet. Is that what you're saying? Wait, let me undo this. Okay. I'm not opposed to it at all. I just what I found, this is just me personally. I found that people don't tell the truth on the person that you meet on the online or you talk to online isn't the person you that they really are. Like either when I meet them, they're a way different age than they say they are, or they're, I don't know. There's just something that is not, they're not, I don't know. It doesn't take very long. I'm like the queen of the 15-minute, maybe 30 minutes. I always have a friend call, like, give me 30 minutes on this day. 30 minutes, I'm going to meet him. Call me 30 minutes into and tell me there's an emergency. If I tell you, never, yeah, if I give you an excuse and tell you, never mind, I'll handle it later, then I'm okay. I'm going to see this date through. If, if I, if I'm like, oh my God, and I tell him, I got to go. Thank you. So I always have an out. You met him. Okay, you met him on the internet. Okay, see? Like I said, it works for some people. I literally could just start naming people I know who have met their person on the internet. It just has not worked for me. Um Okay, she was 12 years older than she said. Yeah, see, and I'm not even an ageist. It's just like you need to be upfront with me cuz if you're going to lie, that's the first. You're going to lie. That's a lie. I don't care. It's a lie and you have now lied to me, so you are a liar. I'm done. You tell me the truth from the beginning and that let me make the decision of whether that's going to work. Gambit says, I've been with my lovely lady for over 13 years. I'm a former executive chef, gardener, musician, hairstylist. Oh, wow. Guess she loves my quirks. If I don't know how to do something, I can learn. Simple. That is so cool, Gambit. Executive chef, gardener, musician. What do you play? That is so cool. You are have many talents for sure. My friend met her hubby on Second Life, and they are the weirdest people, but still married. Hey, look. I think that was the people that I described that I thought what I would call undateable. I think that was it. Like they were what other people would call weirdos, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I consider myself pretty much a weirdo. Um, I just think that weirdos, we have to find our tribe, our kind. We have to find our kind. And you can't find your kind just anywhere, you know? And so I think the internet made it, before everybody got so weird on here, it made it easier. Um, yes, they post old pics and they look better. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You had the same phone system with your friend. Yeah, yeah. You have to. Oh my God, you have to. Because you're just like, oh my God, get me out of here. I can't. I just can't with you. I don't know. I'm at the point now where I'm just so old. I feel like I'm probably at the point where I just get up and say, you know what? 15 minutes. I gave you 20 minutes of my time. This ain't working. Bye. Have a nice life. But I just think you know what? I have less years to live than I've already lived. You're taking up too much time, sir. Go. You know, you're a nice person, but no. Uh, oh, okay. You play the electric flying V guitar. Oh my gosh, Gambit. Wow. Cool, cool. That's awesome. And you cook. No wonder she's not letting you go. I'm just telling you, just a man alone that can cook. That's awesome. Okay, let's move to the next phase. We're talking about the honeymoon phase, and we've gotten all this nostalgia here, which is cool. And that's, this was probably my favorite time of the, hands down, my favorite time of the internet. It was magical, right? I remember being so excited to put my kids to bed and just be able, I thought at the time that it was just because I was having adult conversation, just talking about politics, the news, recipes, whatever. I didn't care. I just want to talk to humans. But now I look back on it, and I look back with nostalgia, and I'm like, you know what? You didn't have the troll. Not some people, but not really. The trolls weren't out in full force. Sometimes on a message board or forum, somebody would leave a nasty comment, but really, they got bullied out. People had opinions, but it was very much community. Everybody was, I don't know, we were all in this place of, oh my God, I can't believe I am talking to somebody from, South Wales. I can't believe that I'm talking to these people from other countries that I didn't know 5 minutes ago. And now I know your name, I know your first name, I know, and it could have been lies, yes, but most of the time you knew it wasn't. It was just, people. And that was fun. So then we go to this. Now, after the honeymoon phase and the wonderment was over, then we got used to it. We got used to the internet, and we started not having so much of a wonderment, but we started carving out our own personal space, right? At first it was like, oh, this is cool. Now you had things like MySpace. Did y'all have a MySpace? I had a MySpace. I didn't even know what MySpace was. Somebody showed me, and I was like, oh, I can have this space. I can decorate it. I can change it. It's not like I can just decorate it once. I can decorate it, and I can change it every day if I want, every week, every month. I can have a different theme. I can make it, oh my gosh. I can put pictures up there. I can make this my home, my space, my friends, my family. I mean, it was all about me in one little page on the internet. I just thought that was the coolest thing. And people could put comments on there, and everybody could see them. And I could put my comments on other people's pages, and I had never heard of such a thing before, and it was just like amazing. And if you did MySpace, and some people didn't care and they just used like the original, or they'd just get a template, like the most basic MySpace. But I would spend hours and hours. Now, my kids, by the time MySpace rolled around, my kids were older. I had had my daughter by this time, and she was younger, but I had more time to scroll the internet, and I would spend hours and hours looking at templates for backgrounds because I wanted MySpace to reflect my mood. Not everything about who I was, but I mean, sometimes I felt like a fairy garden. Sometimes I felt like destruction. I mean, it just depended on my mood. And I would scroll for hours looking at every template in the world, and then you had to copy all that code. Remember, because it says in here, like, remember coding your own background, and then you could have a song. A song would play when people would look at that page, and I would be like, what is my mood? And they have to listen to this song. You put your favorite song, or if you're angry, you could put an angry song on there. It was so dramatic. My page was always dramatic. Not, it wasn't full of drama as far as fighting and stuff. It was just impactful. Every page that I had, and I spent lots of time decorating and theming my page. It was crazy. Okay, you only had MySpace to check on your daughter. Oh, look, I was all into MySpace. Let's see, what did I miss over here? Once I excused myself to the restroom about 10 minutes and never returned. He was definitely not what he said. I know that was bad, but it was a lot. Hey, look, sometimes that's the best thing you can do for yourself on a bad date. Just go to the bathroom. Don't come back. Hey, Buckeye. Look, Buckeye, I understand. I've lived long enough to say, heck with dating. I'll take my cats. Hey, I get it. I get it. Oh, my goodness. Um, but yeah. So, if you never had MySpace, but, yeah, so I had MySpace for a year or two, and then Facebook, right? Facebook came along. I love Facebook because I hated Facebook because you couldn't decorate it. I was so mad. I could not make my Facebook make people see my mood and my thoughts and my personality. But what I loved about Facebook is that you could see what everybody else put. Like, MySpace is different. You can't see everybody's comments like you can on Facebook. You just have to go on there and see what I'm talking about. You could literally see on Facebook what everybody says about everything, every response they have. MySpace is different. You can only see what people say to you specifically. But you know how the Facebook wars are. You can see what they respond to everybody. And the only reason I got on Facebook is because I was all into MySpace, but after decades, I had somebody reach out to me from high school. I didn't graduate in Alabama. It was another state. I had been out of high school for so many years, and I got an email from a classmate saying, "Hey, so and so is trying to reach out to you on Facebook, and we see you don't have a Facebook page." And I'm like, "Really? So and so is why do they want to get in touch with me?" And I'm like, okay. So I get over on Facebook and I'm like, huh, all right. So I made just like a Facebook page, the simplest ever, and I saw that there was a lot of my high school class on Facebook, and I was like, well, I'll just use Facebook for if anybody from high school is looking for me, you know. Not that I kept up with anybody, but I had a couple of friends, just 3 or 4 people that I really wanted to know about. And I thought, well, this is a great way to catch up. See what they look like after all these years. Well, how they're doing. Are they married? Or they have kids? And so I joined Facebook for that reason. And I quickly found out that Facebook was much smoother. It did more than MySpace, and so I abandoned MySpace. And somewhere in MySpace land, I still have a page out there that I haven't touched in, I don't know how many years. It's still floating around. But anyway, unless they just trashed it after all this time. But yeah, anyway, so there you go. So then it was the MySpace and Facebook, and you try to get all your friends to go to one or the other. But then, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Facebook was annoying, but in a different way. You're right. It was. And this right here, okay? This right here, Samantha. I lost my faith in humanity with Facebook. All the misrepresentation, then putting on false faces, the thirst for extreme popularity. Yes. Yes. I will say, yeah. That is, I think, I didn't see that part coming. I think I got my first taste of that when, like I said, some people from my high school were looking for me. And it was people I did want to hear from. Some people were looking for me and friend requested me after I started a Facebook page. And I'm like, y'all didn't talk to me in high school. As a matter of fact, you bullied me and you made fun of me and you hated me. I didn't like you either. Why do you want to talk to me now? Like, why do you want to? I'm like, and I accepted their friend request only because I was nosy. I wanted to see what happened to them. Now, I had just a few friends on, and I never meant to have it as to be my actual real friends. I only meant for it to be high school people. But as probably the first week of me having Facebook, I was sitting at the computer. I was taking some college courses, and it was in the middle of the day. And I saw some people that I knew that I liked. We weren't real good friends, but I liked them. And I saw that they were vacationing in Italy. And I was looking around my house, and I'm like, this is where the kind of the depression and the comparison went in. Whereas MySpace, you couldn't really see. It wasn't like that. It just wasn't like that. I'm looking around. I'm like, huh, they could afford to vacation in Italy. About that time, I looked down and I'm like, and my cat just puked on the floor. Nice. Nice. They're in Italy. I'm cleaning up cat puke. And I'm like, I could see where this comparison could be a problem. I had a nice house at the time. I had a decent life. I wasn't in Italy, but all things considered. And I mean, I realized it was just a vacation. They weren't living there, but you know what I'm saying? It was my first taste of, I don't know if this whole internet thing is such a good idea. Because this isn't fun. And then I know what you're saying. It was like the fake. Somebody said that in the comments. The false faces. Yeah, but Samantha said, and I started seeing that, and Dewey said, had Facebook for 2 weeks. I thought people were too nosy, deleted, never back on. Uh, yeah, I've been on Facebook twice this year. I still have my Facebook. I'm not on that much. Um, this right here, Roberta, is what I realized is so true, because I'm just not that type of person, okay? What you see is what you get. Yeah, even on my personal page, which of course has nothing to do with Silky. But people always would tell me in my life, you just overshare. Like and I don't feel like I do. I feel like I'm me. If you run into me at Walmart, I'll tell you the same thing that I'll put on Facebook, I have no, if I have secrets, which I do, but they're not the kind that I would tell you anyway, either on Facebook or at Walmart, If I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story, I'm going to tell you anywhere because I think it's funny. I don't mind laughing at myself. But, I see, I think one of the hardest things was for me to realize that, yeah, the fake families, the fake, oh, look at, this is what I cooked for dinner. This is my perfect kid. This is my perfect husband, my perfect. And then I knew, because I knew a lot of these people personally, I'm like, I know y'all. I know y'all. I know y'all real well. I know you can't stand each other. I know you fight all the time. I know you scream divorce every other week. I know your kid, has been in jail. I know a lot of things. Why are you getting, here's the thing. Why are you getting on Facebook and saying and acting like your life is perfect? I know you. I mean, I don't get on Facebook and say that. I I don't say anything. When bad things happen, like, I don't say nothing. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, hey, my kid got arrested. I mean, I don't expect people to say that. But at the same time, it's like, I also don't pretend. I mean, I have got on there and said, hey, look at this chicken that I burnt. This is, like, horrendous. Y'all done this before? I mean, I've done that a bunch of times. But, I mean, I'm not, I'm real. And I kind of expected other people to be real. But when I realized they weren't, I think it's a hard pill to swallow, because I know y'all. It ain't that big of a town. I know y'all. Y'all need to stop with your BS, because I know y'all. And I just, it is very off-putting, I guess. Yeah. Everybody thinks they must air their private grievances for public consumption. True. True. I try to keep most of mine to myself, but now what I will do, Samantha, is I will tell people, I will do a restaurant review or something like that if it's not good, because I feel like I need to let you know if it's good or bad. If it's if it's something, I need to let you know, hey, I went here, don't waste your money because of this and this and this. Now, I know that a lot of places are new and they take time to, I don't mean that kind of thing, but you know what I'm saying? There are some things that are so bad. It's like, I would tell my friends, look, save your money. I'll do that. But I'm not as apt to say something bad as I am to say, hey, this place is great. It has to be really, really, really bad for me to say something. And there have been, like, maybe twice that I've done that. Wait, let me go back. Okay. So, then we have the turning point. All right? The turning point. This is where the internet left our desks. So, I mean, I remember the times when it was so exciting, because you didn't have the internet at work, or you couldn't. It was blocked. You couldn't look at the internet at work. Most of the places didn't have internet that you could. We had the phones that were, you didn't have internet on your phone. If you Some of my flip phones had it said, but it was so bad you could only get like really HTML pages, which were almost nothing. You couldn't get anything that was JavaScript on your phones at that time, and just basic stuff. So you really couldn't access it. You could do the text with you remember the flip phones where you had to, I was so bad at texting, where you had to, like, each letter you had to do 1 to 3 punches on that number to get your letter up. Y'all know it. If y'all did it, you know what I'm talking about. I couldn't do it. My oldest son, he was great at texting that way. It took me forever to send a text message. Um, Let me put this up here so you can clarify. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, the Facebook wars and the air and the dirty laundry. Yeah, I don't get into it. I do not get into any of that. Uh, None of that stuff. Okay. Yes. Yeah, people just getting on there. Oh, I've had something like, look, I'm not gonna say I haven't lurked in some of those conversations. It's like, I can't believe y'all are saying this. I'm sitting there with my popcorn. My God. Um, you could you could get by on a flip phone, but you like taking fishing pics. I get it. Roberta says, got my first smartphone in 2015. That wasn't all that long ago. Okay. But remember when we got those, I remember seeing an iPod. The iPod didn't have the phone capabilities on it yet, but it must have been about, oh my gosh. I'm trying to think where I was living. It was probably about 2008, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around in there when the iPod came out. And it had the apps and all this stuff. I was like, oh my God, look at that. You could get, you could get Facebook app or whatever on the phone. You could carry it around with you. It was, you had to have access to internet. That was the early days, right? Then they came out with the Apple phone. That was amazing. Could do all that stuff on there. So then it wasn't, everybody, because in the family back at that time, everybody wanted to have computer time. Everybody wanted to get on the internet. All the kids that came home from school, they wanted to check their MySpace or whatever it is they had. And of course, it was right out there in the living room so we could see. Like, the kids weren't allowed to have a MySpace or a Facebook or anything that we couldn't see, that we didn't have access to. So it was all there in front of everybody. But they each had to have time, and it was limited. So from the time they got home from school, each one had a limited time. And then, of course, we wanted to get on there too. We had to wait till they went to bed. And now, we could have cell phones. We could take the internet with us. Of course, it was expensive. But we could always, if you had Wi-Fi, you'd go to McDonald's. Like, McDonald's was just up the street. You could get up there on Wi-Fi. You could check your Facebook. You could be anywhere, logging on. Now the internet was with you, and you had a camera. Anywhere you went, you could take a photo or a video. Oh my God. It wasn't just you had to run home. Like, I remember sometimes I'd be excited because I only worked a half day on Friday. I'd be like, oh yeah, I get off at 12. Everybody else is going to be at school or they're working. I'm going to have the internet to myself. I can scroll. I can all this stuff. And I don't have to fight everybody in the house for the internet, right? Those were the days. But then we had the turning point where everybody got a smartphone. Now, nobody was using the computer anymore. Everybody's on their smartphone. And then, I'm going to speed this along. So when did it start to get weird? Do you remember? When was the first thing? When was the first time? I'll give you time to think about it. Well, I'm going to go back to your comments. When was the first time that you looked at your phone and you started thinking, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with this. I'm not sure I like this. Yeah, Buck, I understand. Yeah, everybody wants to start a fight. Sometimes I feel like instigating, but that's just me. This is how I know I'm getting older. I posted something this week. I got two people. I got 2 likes. I knew I was instigating when I did it. I'm like, I dare y'all, because I never post on Facebook. I really don't. It's rare. I'm really not on there except for my Southern Tea pages. I'm like, I used to post all the time, and I'd get a lot of comments. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm getting old, and I'm at the point where I don't care. I don't care. I really don't. Let me instigate. I'm gonna put an unpopular opinion out here, and I don't care what you say or what you think about it. And I have no. I don't care what your opinion is. If it changes, I don't care. I'm old. And now I know what it means to get old and crotchety. I don't care. Um, let's see. Samantha says the game systems going Wi-Fi helps slow down computer competition. However, there's so many dangers with game systems and yes. Okay, now my first moment of being very uncomfortable was when I realized that my phone was really, like, I heard rumors. I thought, it's funny how I was just talking about, and this is how many years ago? About 8 or 9 years ago. It started getting weird when I thought, it's funny how I was just talking about I wanted something. I don't know, whatever in the heck it was. And all of a sudden I see these ads, not just on Facebook, but everywhere. I start seeing these ads on my phone everywhere about this, whatever. What a coincidence. I was just talking about that. And here it is. Here's all these ads. Wow. So I started, at first it was like helpful. I'm like, oh, well, cool. Now I don't have to Google it. Here it is. This is helpful. And then I started seeing everything I was talking about. It started popping up, and I was like, okay, this is getting weird. This is weird. I'm uncomfortable. My phone is watching me. Well, of course, I was already down the internet conspiracy rabbit hole because I'd been there since 2011. So I already knew, but it really started to get highly uncomfortable for me then. I'm like, okay, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is happening, and it's happening to me all the time. And let's see. Roberta says, it was, for me, it was when algorithms took over, assuming if you saw something once, you'd like to see it all the time. True. And now I'm like, you know what? I have this one. Speaking of, I have this one when I'm on YouTube. I have my private YouTube login. Okay, I don't log in under Spooky or Silky. I log in privately on my forever. It's been like forever, ever long ago. First YouTube login. Okay, before I started these channels, and that's what I watch my just whatever I watch YouTube from, that ID. And so I had this book that people, I saw this ad for this book over and over and over and over again, and I was mildly interested, but I kept skipping the ads. Finally, I watched the whole ad once, and they kept showing me the ad and the ad and the ad, and I was like, you know what? I really want this book. And I think they had it on sale or something. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna buy this book because I think it really has a lot of value to me. So I bought the book. I scanned the little code. You could tell that when I was on the channel. I scanned it from that. I bought the dang book. It still plays, I don't know how many times a day when I watch almost every commercial they show me when I go from one video to another. It's the same book. I'm like, come on, I bought the book. Stop. Stop. I don't know. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how I can make you understand. I bought the book. You need to stop. But here we are. And yeah, sometimes it seems like Google is reading your minds. That is another thing, Roberta. It is. I'm gonna try to, as we go on in this series, I'm gonna talk about this. We're gonna go through some stuff, but this is one topic that I'm gonna keep coming back to because there is really so much information. This is just scratching the surface. Even though I'm gonna try to, we've already gone an hour, and we're just in the nostalgia, but we're gonna get into some other cases, actually cases, and I'm going to do a lot more on this topic because it is something that I am very concerned about, and so we're scratching the surface with this one. But that is one of the things that you will hear me talk about, and it's really bothering me because they are. Ooh, I've heard some really disturbing news. I've been very disturbed this week about how, they have been able, supposedly, okay, allegedly, they have been able to read our thoughts, okay, and then there are other factors, RFID chips that really aren't big, like they could be consumable. Hypothetic, allegedly, and that perhaps they are reading our minds. Let's see. Gambit says, Silky, they are plugging into your energy. That's why I always state, protect your energy. I have studied quantum consciousness for leisure. It's mind-boggling. Maybe that is it, too. I've studied a lot of quantum physics, and I by no means do I say that Gambit to say I'm intelligent because, or that I understand quantum physics, because I really don't. I understand. I have a vague understanding of quantum physics, and I'm fascinated by it. But I understand a lot about certain aspects. I'll just say that certain aspects of it, and can they tap into? Yeah, there's some way they're tapping into it. Yes, you can have your phone off and they can still hear you. Absolutely. That is 100% true. As a matter of fact, when I have to have a conversation, I have my phone so far away from me. There are times that I have it not anywhere around me. And I try to be somewhere where I don't think there's any electronic devices. Um, when a woman, if they can read my mind, I'm in deep trouble. Me too. Me too. Just saying. Samantha, do yes, unless the battery is removed from the phone, it can still record. Yeah, your TV's watching you too. The infrared. Your TV's watching you. I've been trying to tell people I know that for years, decades. They're like, no, no. Yeah. But, okay. Now, let's talk about, we're going into an area where it starts to get a little more uncomfortable. Okay. It left the screen. So now we already know that it reads our minds. And I lost some people in the chat from the, I don't know if it's because it's getting late or people just don't want to talk about it. They don't want to think about it. It is uncomfortable, but that is the whole point. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It sure is. But that is why we have to talk about it. Being uncomfortable is not going to make this better. Putting your head in the sand is not going to make this better. It's not going to solve the problem. Okay? It's going to make the problem worse. So we're at the point we're right at that point. And this is what people that I know, okay, people that are close to me, people that I know very well, people that I deal with frequently are asking me questions that's hard for me to answer. Stop it, Sachi. And I empathize with their feelings on certain subjects. And I'm like, yes, you're totally right. But you're also totally wrong about how we go about this. And we're at the point that I don't think enough people aren't, and this is why I keep explaining, people aren't awake enough yet. They haven't hit their pain point. I have great faith in Americans being rebels. I really do. I have great faith that people are not going to allow certain things. I think Americans are rebels by nature. A lot of us are fat and lazy, but a lot of us aren't. And we just haven't hit our pain point. Or we're not aware. A lot of people are just busy. They're lulled into whatever. They're lulled by the internet, by TV, by whatever it is, whatever entertainment. But there will be something. There will be an event. There will be something that hits close to home. And when it does, they will feel their pain point. And their pain point is what will wake them up and make them say, oh, this is not okay. And when they hit that pain point, then we can have a real conversation. And then they will be willing to do something. Let's see. Buckeye, you're funny. But you can't figure out what this data collection is for. Well, there's a lot of theories on that. There is a lot of theories on that. But let's talk about okay, the data collection. Some people, just say some people out there think that it is for control, to see who is opposing the powers that be, right? They're collecting data on our license plates, our doorbell cameras, our location. Okay, you understand these flock cameras. know everything. They can recognize you from your gait, like the way you walk. Um, it's a convenience trap, and they want to say, "Oh well." And a lot of people are fine, like, "Okay, well, I want to be safe." They've bought into the safe. It's convenient. Well, I want to feel safe, so we need the flock cameras. And I just heard somebody say this morning, as a matter of fact, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you don't have anything to worry about. Well, we will revisit that. Okay, just remember that. And I heard, like I said, I heard that this morning. If you're not doing anything wrong, there's nothing to worry about. Hold that thought. We traded privacy for ease. Well, let's think about it for a second. Okay, I'm gonna stop for just a minute with this. Let's talk about this. Could you? I just want an honest answer. If we're not talking about, let's say, and I know the internet runs everything right now. So let's forget about for a second how our power grids, are internet based. But if we had a backup system, whatever, could you, would you give up the internet? All of it. All of it. Could you, would you give up Google, YouTube, all of it? Would you be willing? It's all or nothing, okay? All or nothing. You either opt into everything or we're living like Little House on the Prairie. Which one is it? Can we live without Wi-Fi? That's the question. Can we live without Wi-Fi now? Can you live without having all the knowledge at your fingertips? Can you live with having to read a book, not knowing what's going on, having to wait until the Sunday paper rolls around, hoping we can get, the phone lines wired back up? No, not even the flip phone days, because that's still wireless, Samantha. We're talking we're talking about landlines if we're lucky. If we're lucky. Let's just say something wipes out most everything. Whether that's earthquake, whatever, EMP, whatever. We have the basics. Let's just say we have the basics from wires. Let's go back to the best we can do is the 1970s. Okay, 1970s, 60s, 70s, somewhere around there. Can we go back to that? Are you going to be okay? I mean, how? I mean, I can already tell you Gen Z cannot. I'm even asking this question of myself because I absolutely, part of me loves to go camping off the grid. Just my family, nature, absolutely zero outside anything. My family is with me. We're all together. I really don't care. For a few days. For a few days. Okay? We're okay. I'm happy. But in the I have to stop and think about this. In the long run, am I okay? I don't get to come on YouTube. I don't get to pick up my phone or even get on a computer and Google anything. I can't see what's going on unless somebody comes down the road. I don't know what's happening in Washington. unless it comes out in the paper, which in my area doesn't even come out every day. I'm rural. Comes out, I can't remember, twice a week, I think. Twice a week. I don't know. Till the paper comes out in the middle of the weekend on Sundays, what's even going on anywhere? No idea. If I'm going back to the 70s, I get the nightly news from the powers that be, and they spoon feed me what they want me to hear. That's it. I don't have any way to connect with anybody else. Am I okay? I don't know. I don't know. Let me see what y'all are saying. Clone says replacement system. Let's see. I understand what you're saying, Gambit. The 1900s orphans. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. There's a lot to be said. You're right, Samantha. People hand their rights away willingly if convinced something makes them safer. True. You just have to look at 9/11 to see that. Let's see. Roberta says, no, I could not presently give it up. I still have a landline. See, I'm good living in the country and being armed. I'm good. But but I feel like I need to know stuff. CB radio. You think this is the final? Yeah, we should have a conversation, Gambit. You think this is the final reset? Well, Dewey, we could have a newspaper, but it wouldn't be every day. See, that's what I'm saying. I've gotten used to it. So, let me see what y'all are saying. Yeah, it's to push for immediate gratification, the feeling of need immediate information. Yeah. The email sales, Google weather. Right. Yeah. So, and then here we go. So, now we're here. We're here at this dilemma. Can we, because now we're at the point of, we loved our Wi-Fi in the beginning, right? It was fun. It brought us together. We were in chat rooms. It was simple. It was great. It was like a holiday. We were having the best time sharing information. And then it went bad. Then they started, the greed, the all, whatever. And it wasn't just them. It was us. When Facebook started and all this, and we changed our attitude towards it, and it was all about us, and it wasn't the new wonderful shiny thing that it was in the beginning, because honestly in the beginning it was great. I mean, I was there. It was great. I'm sure some people misused it, but by and large it wasn't fake families showing you their beautiful dinner like they're an executive chef, and their perfect families. It wasn't about that. It was just sharing. It was just meeting people. It was fun. Until it wasn't. And then it got worse. And then they wanted to direct our attention, and they wanted to read our minds, and all they wanted to do was sell us, and all we wanted to do was compete with each other. Like, what the heck? It all turned bad really quick. Now we're here. Now we're at Flock. Now we're at Flock. Now we got these cameras everywhere. What do y'all think about Flock? Let me put it down in the comments, y'all who are still with me. So, what are y'all thinking? Good, bad? Do we need Flock? Is it better to have them? The Flock cameras, they're coming up everywhere. I live in a small town. They're starting to pop up everywhere. As a matter of fact, somebody came to my house yesterday, and they came in all a Twitter. A Twitter. We don't use that word enough, do we? But they came in all a Twitter, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, we just passed a Flock camera out in this rural place. It's not very far from the house. We saw a Flock camera." I'm like, really? Interesting. Wonder why they feel a need for a Flock out here. Very much to see out here, but whatever. You want a Flock? I said, if I have to pass this Flock every day, I'm going to start. Hey! On the way to work. January 1st. Hey! I'm going to make stupid faces. March 2nd. You can't see that. That was not a middle finger. It was this. Let me get in view. Hold on. Let me do this where you can see the whole picture before somebody says something terrible. Be like, hey! Yeah, I'm going to make stupid faces every day on the way to work. But then there'll be that day I forget, and you'll see me, Flock will have this picture, whatever. But I'm going to try to remember to go something completely ridiculous. So the people watching are like, there's that crazy woman again, making faces at this camera. Anyway. Yeah, my email is, if it's not in the description here, let me type it out. Let me put it in the comments. Because it's not, I do have one that's Spooky Southern, but here's the one I look at all the time. Let me type this real quick. This was the name of my channel. And I can't see. I don't have my glasses on. I think that's right. It's Avalon Cottage. That's the one I usually see first. Yeah, I would love to. Let's see. It's been decades since I used a physical phone book. Yeah, like people don't even know what they're for anymore. You're not bothered by Flock. I'm bothered by Flock, and we're going to talk about why. Okay, we're getting there. Yes, you're right. The selfie craze came in with Facebook. I wonder if it would have come in, honestly, if it wasn't for Facebook. But you had Instagram, you had social media bred narcissism, because all of a sudden you could be the star of your own page. You really could. It was all about you. It was all about your family. And all of a sudden you wanted to be something that you weren't. You could be anybody you wanted to be. And most people chose to be liars. That's what they did. So there's that. But unfortunately, okay, so this is why. Okay, the questions, the promise. Okay, here's why people. Here's why flock was invented, y'all. The reason they say that we need flock is finding stolen cars and missing people. We need flock. Okay, Roberta, you. That's all right. Yeah, you catch up whenever you can. Um, have a great night. Have a great weekend. I don't know if I'm going to be back on. I've got some spooky. Oh, that's on the other channel. Never mind. I don't know what I've got. I got stuff. I've got stuff planned everywhere. But I'll see you, Roberta. Have a good one. Um, anyway, yeah, it's because we need to see if people are committing crimes. But, like, how many people are actually committing crimes right in front of the flock cameras? Okay? Not so much. Like, I mean, that's usually where it happens, right? Right out in the middle of where everybody can see. No. Um, let's see. When a woman says, I feel like they're making people feel like they're criminals. Yes. So the question is, who is watching the watchers? Yeah. Because they say they're doing all this stuff, but really, we're going to see some cases. And I'm going to tell you about some more. So now that they're saying who's watching the watchers, who can access the data, how long are they keeping it, and where can it be shared? Now I'm going to take you through a few things, and this is not even the worst, okay? This is just scratching the surface. So let's go to case number 1. The 5 Mile problem. This was in November of 2025, not even a year yet, okay? This was a guy named Hugo Parra, okay? Now, the police got a flock image of a red Alfa Romeo car. The image was captured about 5 miles away from the crime scene. Now, they said this was Hugo, and he got arrested. He was in jail a month before they dropped the charges and found that it was actually a similar looking car, not Hugo. And it wasn't proof. It's like, they're like, oh yeah. This is Hugo. This is the Alfa Romeo. This is him. Literally was not him. 5 miles away. So he's in jail for a month. All right. Now, but that's just one. I'm going to tell you about some other horrific cases. And I'm going through these quick, okay? I'm getting so sleepy. I don't know what it is. I'm getting sleepy too. This was in Sherwood, Arkansas in February of this year, 2026. We got a case of 1 letter off. All right. We have a flock camera that flags a passing vehicle as being stolen. Imagine you're just driving down the street, minding your own business, and all of a sudden you get pulled over. Okay. So a family is just driving along. They get stopped. They get pulled over in a Kohl's parking lot. And the driver, he is detained at, they pull out their pew-pews and they detain him. You're not going anywhere. Because the camera said, you're in a stolen car. And then he's like, yeah. The family's like, no. And they're like, Flock says car stolen. They're like, dude, seriously, this is our car. No. Well, come to find out, Flock was wrong. They got 1 letter wrong because it's a camera. It's not a human. It doesn't have reasoning skills. It is a camera. Now, while they're holding this person, there's a 1 year old. There's one of the children. The child is 1 year old watching their family be held by a weapon by law enforcement. Can you imagine? Well, this stupid flock camera has said, yeah, it's a stolen car. I can't even, y'all. So easy to figure this out. But yet, we have traumatized everybody. People just trying to go do their errands, just trying to go be the family, doing their stuff. Oh, but things could be so much worse. Case number 3, bad data travels fast. This is in Plymouth, Minnesota in just June. This is last month. A journalist's Range Rover, the test vehicle, was flagged as being stolen. Okay? An incomplete California database entry combined with an incomplete camera read. Okay, so you got the database, it's not complete in California, and then you've got the camera not reading the whole thing. So the whole thing, so these two things combined to make a big fat, what's the word I'm looking for? Probably not what I'm thinking of, but it was a big old fat mess. The result, the driver was surrounded by 4 police cars and frisked. That's nice. Isn't that nice? Get all felt up that you never asked for, okay, by policemen. And traumatized again. 4 police cars. You're minding your own business, and all of a sudden, 4 police cars. That's intimidating. 4 police cars come and they're filling you up. You've done nothing wrong. Nothing. You have strangers' hands all over you. Look, that is traumatizing. Especially when they say that you've done something wrong. You know you haven't done anything wrong. And then you're being manhandled. Whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. Like, that's your personal space, sir. Okay, so you have, a halfway job through the system, and then you got bad flock cameras doing half the job. And here we go. So you get through all this. To me, I just feel like that should be some kind of charge. I'm just, I mean, I'm being a little bit funny with it, but the real thing is that is traumatizing, because then you're going down the street and you always are looking around thinking, is this going to happen again? Because I would. Like, you don't know. Every time you see a cop car, you don't know. Are you going to get arrested for some BS? You don't know. Okay. Now, case number 4, the wrong person. Redmond, Washington, August of 2025. This was a year ago. Okay. Flock flagged a car as associated with a felony warrant. All right, so in this case, there was a father and son who had the same name. Now, I can kind of understand this a little bit better. So they had the same name, but they were in different locations. One was in Redmond, Washington, the father. The son was somewhere completely different. The father didn't have any warrants, but the son had an active felony warrant. The father, he was law-abiding, no warrants, never was in trouble, okay? Son, not so much. He was, he was out there wanted. He was a problem. But the flock flagged the car of the dad's as associated, because of the name, with a felony warrant. And they linked him to the son. And so the father was handcuffed in his own driveway and taken to jail. And again, this is not an officer who has sense. Well, you would think that the officer would have sense to just say, hey, let me investigate this first. But no, carted off to jail. And see, I don't understand this. I do not understand why somebody with some common sense didn't stop and say, oh, okay. Because the father is easily saying, hey, I have a son. He doesn't live here. He lives somewhere else. Same name. And the warrant is not for me. It's for him. Why couldn't you just easily say, okay, let me check this? The warrant would have a date of birth on it. I mean, I don't understand what's going on with this stuff. So, but I want to tell you some other stories. Let me stop there for a second. I literally heard this story yesterday, and I wish I could remember the name. There was a man who got arrested. Let me see. The flock said that he was, I can't remember what state it was living in, but he gets arrested. They come and arrest him, and they say it is because he sold a stolen car in Florida. And he's like, dude, I have not been to Florida. And they're like, oh yeah, you sold a car that was stolen in Florida on this date. And he's like, no, I didn't. They're like, yeah, the flock camera says you did. So he gets arrested. They haul him into jail. He's in jail for 2 months, and then something happens. I don't know. He gets moved. I don't know. Long story short, he ends up spending 4 months. I think it's 2 months before he gets an attorney assigned to him, because he's like, I was at work. I was at work. I was not in Florida. I was in the state that I live in at work, not in Florida, selling a stolen car. Should have been easy to check. Like, literally, the police could have checked this. But no, he stayed in jail for 4 months. I think after 2 months, he had an attorney, so they set a court date. 2 months later, he goes to court. They find out, oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. We checked with your boss. It seems that you were at work on this day. My bad. You were at work. You were clocked in. Yeah, people saw you. I guess the flock was wrong. You weren't in Florida. It just is somebody that looked a lot like you. During this 4 months, the man not only lost his job, he lost his house and custody of his children. Because of this stupid flock camera that said, hey, he's over here. And law enforcement, what, too lazy? What's the deal? You didn't check? Nobody wanted to believe him? When he said, it would have been so simple. One call, when he said, look, I don't live in Florida, and I wasn't in Florida, I was at work. One simple call from anybody could have said, hey, this guy was at work. I think we got this wrong. 4 months later. What's it going to take? Are people going to have to really start suing the crap out of these companies, out of these small town, or big city? I don't know. I don't remember what city or town this was, this police department. And who is liable? Is it the burden of the police department, or is it the flock? Who is responsible for this? Where is this burden? Who does this burden fall on? Now, also, the problem with this is that, let me pull this back up here. A lot of these companies they say this. Flock says, well, we just provide the cameras, because they have found a lot of policemen have misused the cameras. They have used the flock systems, whether that is the drones, the cameras, the whole system, to track and follow, stalk ex-girlfriends or present love interests. Okay? They have use them other than what they should have been using them for. Okay, imagine that someone would misuse a camera and use it for nefarious purposes. I'm not saying it because they're law enforcement. I'm just saying that's a temptation of any human, right? Somebody is going to misuse equipment like that. When you have that kind of power, somebody's going to misuse it. So, Flock has, in answer to that, when people have been found doing this, they've said, well, we just provide the equipment. We are not liable for what y'all do with it. Not our problem. This is our contract. We provide the camera. Y'all need to police yourselves. We're not responsible. Okay? So who is responsible? Well, I agree that the police need to police themselves. But also, is there any liability for the things? Should Flock be involved at all? What do y'all think? And there's another case where where the people voted, hey, we don't want these things. And the city said, okay, you know what? There's been a lot of problems. People really don't want these. It's getting really dark in here. We're gonna get rid of these. And so they took the cameras down. Flock came and put them back up. So what do you do in that case? What's up with that? Where does the liability, how much liability? And the question, right down here, who watches the watchers? And how do we know? Until somebody gets caught, how do we know? Let's say it's not even an ex. Let's just say somebody has a vendetta. Maybe you made somebody really mad. Maybe they didn't like the way that you behaved during your traffic ticket. You got a traffic ticket, and maybe I could see myself being a smart aleck. I know, not me. Look, maybe the officer didn't like the way I looked at him, or something that I said. And so he's like, yeah, I'm going to watch that one. I'm going to wait until she screws up, because she will, and he'd be right. Till I, roll through a stop sign, till I drive 5 miles over the speed limit, till I do something. You're going to find me doing some infraction, because we all do. Even if we don't mean to, we're going to do something sometime. What if he does stalk? It's like, I'm waiting until she does something, then I'm going to bust her on that too. But then that's harassment, right? But when there is a Flock camera on every street corner, when does it stop? How much is enough? How do we know? Who's policing them? And what do? We don't even know that somebody has a vendetta against us. We don't even know. So yeah, the promise is that, we're going to find your stolen cars and we're going to find missing people. But the risk is that it misreads things. There's bad data, unverified assumptions. And who watches the watchers? And when we have so many, it's going to be a full-time job for other people. There's not enough people. Who's going to employ these people? Who's going to pay for people? Is that the city's job? Who's going to pay for this? For people to watch, the watchers. I just think it's going to turn into a police state. And that's basically what the people on the opposite side, the people who are in other... I see videos all the time of people in the UK that are sneaking up on the Flock cameras and cutting them down. It's because they are tired of being watched. And what is our tipping point? Because it will happen. It will. I mean, if the British are doing it, The British are way more laid back than we are. We're over here being rebels about everything. What is our tipping point? What's going to happen that, I mean, I know a lot of people now that are talking about it. They're awake. They're like, hey, I don't like this. But the majority of people are not aware of everything that's happening. There will be a tipping point. What is it going to be? And what are they going to do? And we need to have answers like, can we live without the internet? Is that what it's going to be? Go off grid? Can we do that? What if that's our only choice? To unplug and say bye? Are we prepared? I'd hate to think that I wouldn't get to see everybody, talk to y'all, but dadgum, I'm not going to be anybody's slave either. To go off the grid and do it, live. What do we do? What do y'all think? Let me see. Let me see what y'all are saying. I don't know, Dewey, if they got huge settlements. I haven't heard of anybody getting huge settlements. And it's funny that Flock is supposed to help against crime, but banks still can't produce decent surveillance footage when they get robbed. Yeah, right? Exactly. And that's the thing. You've got these cameras everywhere, but what? But does anybody commit crimes right out there where everybody's looking? No. I feel like we're being watched all the time anyway. I think we are. And I feel like Flock is, maybe it's a distraction. I don't know. They've sent my daughter 3 tickets in 2 years for toll road. She hasn't, oh my gosh, even been with a wrong tag car in state. Oh my God. See? And then the burden of proof is on us. It's on us. I wasn't there. This isn't my car. This isn't my tag. It's like, why is the burden of proof on us just because some camera got it wrong? But yet, she'll probably, if she doesn't pay these tickets, unless it's a scam, she's probably going to end up with dings on her license and you know, whatever. If it's for real, she'll end up with a failure to appears in court and end up going to jail. Cops aren't trained to keep people out of jail. No, they're really not. If you had to, you could go off grid. I could too. It would be tough. It would be tough because, you know, this is where I get my news. I think you know, I would be sad about, you know, losing contacts with a lot of people, but at the end of the day, I could do it. I'd be very sad about it, but I think the hardest thing would be not having information when I need it. Because anytime I don't have an encyclopedia to like, I need information. I need to know what to do about this, even if it's a home remedy, even if it's like it's right there on my phone. That's what I would miss the most. Yes, you're right. Settlements take time to work through court, and money doesn't heal trauma. Exactly. Don't give a flock. Oh. See? There you go. Yeah, Chicago sent me a parking ticket, was never there. See? Yeah. So Winter Woman said, yeah, it was a pain to clear up. We had to go to the DMV and insurance company to prove it. See, that's the thing. It shouldn't be your burden of proof. It shouldn't be our burden of proof when Flock gets it wrong. But yet we have to spend the money and the time to prove that we weren't there, that we didn't do it, it wasn't our car, whatever. And here we are spending all this, and it shouldn't be our burden. But if we don't do it, we end up in jail. FTA, traffic tickets, whatever. Oh my God. This is ridiculous. I'd have to spend a fortune on batteries because I would be addicted to handheld games. I just can't get into it. I can't get into games. I never have. Oh my goodness. Yes, you're guilty before innocent. Exactly. Exactly. It's insane. All right, so I'm going to be talking a lot more about this because this is a topic that we're just scratching the surface, okay? This is just the beginning of what people aren't even awake yet. They're not even aware. I mean, people you hear, we're just now starting to hear about flock cameras. You know, some of them have been there for a while, but people don't even realize. Now, I realize that where I work, that they've put a lot of them close by because they're so big. It's like, I'm looking up, I'm like, what the heck? What is this? Definitely looks like a surveillance state. And a lot of people feel that is the whole point, is it's just for surveillance. Somebody was telling me about these little drones that can come by your house. They're so small, and you know, they can be hovering outside your window. They can actually hear the conversations in your house. Very interesting. To me that's scary. Not because I'm doing anything illegal. It's just, you know, again, it's a privacy thing. And if you're outside hovering, like, are you taking pictures? Like, am I going to be compromised? You know, I don't know. It's because apparently they're so small. At first, I wasn't that upset because I'm like, hey, well, this is Alabama. You know, people will be shooting them. Like, it's target practice, right? And he's like, no, they're so small, you would not notice them. Like, they're like really small, not like drones that you see. Because I'm like, yeah, you should. If you're flying a drone outside my house and hovering outside my window, I'm shooting it. That's what I'm doing. But yeah, I could see where if you didn't know, so anyway, there you go. So I'd like to know what you think, because we're gonna be talking more about this. I'm gonna be bringing some cases up in detail about flock, and you know, so many people in other countries right now are doing some stuff. There's a lot of TikToks that I find interesting about what not to do. If you've seen some of these, you know what I'm talking about. It's what not to do. Sorta. The flock camera. Definitely not advocating to do anything destructive. But what I think is interesting is it's already talking about people are not happy. People are not happy with surveillance states. And I'm not happy, I'm not happy being surveilled in the privacy of my home, obviously, because you're in all kinds of conditions in the privacy of your home. But what bothers me most is the misinformation that we just looked at, like tonight, and some of the cases that I've heard of that are horrific, like the one I told you about with the man losing practically everything. Yeah, because even if he sued and got money back, you can't get your life back. You can't get that trauma, the separation from your children. What happened during these 4 months? He lost his home. He lost his job. You took his life. You took his life for something that could have been solved with one phone call. One phone call could have answered this. Was he clocked in? Did you see him? Yes. Well, you know what? We might at least let him out on bail. Okay? At least say, well, I'm not sure. The flock camera said he was there, but we're letting him out on bail. Don't keep him in jail because this looks like it's wrong. You might have to get an attorney and fight this. We might have to have court, but you're clocked in another state. Come on. It wouldn't have taken so much for you to have figured that out. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go I'm going to go Gambit too because I am tired as well just because I worked. It's Friday, right? I work today. All right, y'all have a great weekend. I'll be back with you soon. We'll talk about this. I'm going to be dragging up Lizzie Borden because Netflix is doing a series on it, and I'm going to be debunking a lot of myths. That is one of my favorite crime cases of all times. Y'all know I wrote a book on that, and I have to. They're literally slaughtering her memory on this crazy, crazy thing, as they always do with the dramatizations. It's going to be so false and so fake in so many ways. And you know I got to debunk it, so I'm going to start talking about it now before it even comes out. Hope you have a great and wonderful day. If you're on the replay, please put your thoughts down here. I want to know what you think about Flock and where do we go from here, what's okay, what's not. We're going to talk about some more terrible things, and we're going to watch what other people are doing in other countries and see. I'm going to get your reactions to some of those things. All right? I'll see you later. Stay safe out there. Whatever you do, just stay silky. Bye-bye.